we talked about it before, and we need to talk about it again. About your heroes, right? So typically, your
hmm
heroes are no different than you. They just achieved a
hmm
level of success. But are your heroes pulling people up the mountain? Are your heroes being a true alpha? Are your heroes really making a damn difference in this world?
Welcome to Old Guys Still Rock. Super grateful you gave us a look or a listen. We specifically developed this podcast for friends or soon to be friends who are in the 40 plus category. This podcast is a platform to not only have your voices be heard, but also for others who are going through the same thing and know that they too aren't alone. Our topics may be business, topics may be entrepreneurship, our topics may be social, or our topics may be just everyday life. Whatever it is, we hope that you give it a share and leave us a comment. But most of all, if you want your voice to be heard, please leave us a comment on how to get a hold of you so you too can be an old guy that still rocks and help build our community. Until we speak again, stay safe, but most of all, God bless.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be when you're watching this. If this is your first time here, you have just reached the best podcast in the world that you have never seen. I am Blair Armstrong of Team Armstrong Coldwell Banker, and you have reached Old Guys Still Rock podcast. We are at episode number 72. 72, dude. How
I know,
about
right?
that? A couple white guys made it.
We still can't jump, according to the movie.
Still can't jump, but we could, gosh darn, can we give a good podcast? And then on my right, and possibly your left, depending on which way it comes out when this gets promoted or produced, is my good friend for almost 30 years, Brent Wright, Brent Wright Incorporated. Typically, he is located in beautiful Eugene, Oregon, the Willamette Valley, however you want to put it. A man with many hats and multiple businesses that he's cultivated over the last 35, 40 years, from body shops to detail shops, property management. Him and his wife has just started a wellness centers out in the Willamette Valley, payroll companies. But what he's really good at, which you probably don't know about, we're going to talk about this a little bit today, is his business and personal coaching. Why is he good at it? Because he's taken his last 35 and 40 years and put it all together, very calculated, writing stuff down, what worked, what didn't work, sharing losses, doing some different things. It really gets you to help you think. That's why I've been good friends with him for 30 years, because I get good ideas from him. So anyway, yeah, man. And one more thing, and that's really why this podcast started. So him and I, we would end our days, and typically, especially during the 75 hard, I'd be on a walk and he'd be on a walk, and we just sit there and chew the fat over phone calls. And we're like, dude, why are we not sharing this? Because there's so many golden nuggets. And now, almost 60 subscribers, which is pretty good with us without any advertising or sponsors. We're starting to get feedback like, gosh, it's like, are you guys reading the same? That's what I got from Macumber last night is, are you guys reading the same books I am? And I'm like, I don't know what you're reading, bro. And he goes, like, every time I turn you on, it's like, it's spot on to like the chapter, the book. And I'm like, well,
Universal alignment.
We're just old guys that still rock. And once in a while we know stuff. So anyways, man, I'm sorry. I stole a lot of that time. Again, Brent Wright of Brent Wright Incorporated. How are you, brother? I know you're kind of you're not really going through stuff. You're having some adjustments in life, but you're out in Beverly Hills right now. So how is Beverly Hills, as Weezer says?
As Weezer says,
Beverly Hills.
but it's not where I want to be, right? So, but we're here. We're celebrating the time and making the most of it. My wife had surgery on Tuesday and did really well. Of course, anytime there's surgery or anytime there's infiltration into your body from a foreign instrument, it hurts. A couple days later. So here we go. But she's been a trooper. no pain medication,
Wow.
taking 4 Tylenol, and she's just pushing through. And we have another appointment today, another checkup, and then another one tomorrow. And then we fly back home on Saturday, and I can't wait to get home to see the kids
Yeah.
and get back into the swing of things. So it's always good to get away in any way, shape, or form. I know you get away on vacation. I get away, supporting my wife and her
Right.
aspirations to be healthier. And so,
Mhm.
but it definitely makes you think and be grateful and have moments of gratitude and appreciation for what you had last week. It's different than this week. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, big things, man. And we're going to get into a bunch of stuff today. Some great things that you brought up that I like too. But I think that's another reason why. Again, if this is your first time here, or if this is like your 68th or 72nd time that you watch this episode, one thing that we will promise you with this podcast is that we are committed. I have been in Hawaii 3 times since the start of this podcast, at least twice. I know that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
At least
Yeah.
twice that we've run this podcast. And then you've been on business trips. Now you're taking care of your wife or assisting your wife and helping her get better. That the point of it is that this is why we're super, super dedicated, not only to our subscribers, but the people that you send this video to, because this is our platform to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not just like, hey, we're going to put a podcast together. Brent has 8 million things to do right now that be on this podcast and share some stuff. I mean, literally steps away from helping, being an assistant to his wife. So please take this seriously. I'm not asking for anything, or actually, we're not asking for anything big, but if you see something in today's episode, share the show. Like as I said, we don't have any advertisers. We don't have any sponsors. This is all grassroots. We are growing. We appreciate the support, but it's a dedication. It's like we are taking the stuff that we talk around the water cooler at your job, your relationships, with your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, friends, whatever, and we're putting it out there and giving you solutions to go ahead and take where you may be stuck and help you get to the next level. And that's kind of lead into why we're picking this topic today. And we're going to be talking about alpha males. And unfortunately, right now, in this world of whatever you want to call it or whatever your tone is, the word alpha male has been thrown in the
Trigger
mud.
word, right?
Yeah, right. It's some people may need coloring books when they heard that word alpha male. Yeah, it was a shot, dude. I don't.
I love
I'm spicy today, dude. I'm spicy today. So anyway, but alpha, you let's just let you get into this, man, because I'm going to go off on this. I want to say some different things, but why do you think that the word alpha male over the last couple of years has just been such a bad word? And really, it's one of these major things that we're missing in society right now. So you get the platform.
Yeah. So the first thing that comes to mind typically when you say alpha male, most people is, and you've seen it, the guy that walks
Mm-hmm.
into the room, he's jacked,
Mm-hmm.
Hair slicked back, big old bushy beard, comes in, pushes his way through everything, and just it's just brash, right? Everything is just completely brash that his whole demeanor, his attitude. Typically, he would be more caveman like than anything typically, and again, this is taking you back to like movies, cartoons,
Right.
anything that you've
Right.
seen. So mentally you have this picture that was that's been portrayed about the true alpha male, right? And so we have this vision in our head when we think alpha, that it's this picture of this guy like I just described, but he's not smart, not articulate, doesn't care about anybody but himself, typically is there to just push people around and get his way and make sure that his agenda is complete without taking any consideration to your agenda. Am I right in that depiction? What I mean, what
Yeah.
do you think when you hear the
Yeah.
word alpha male? Do you go to those types of things, or is that
Well,
a little different?
well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you because that is what has been presented to us for so long, right? Or actually not for so long, but just for the last couple of years. These guys that come in is, just they're polished or on camera or on Instagram or Facebook or whatever your social media platform is. You see this guy in his cars and he's got 8 women, Dan Brazilian, whatever that guy is. You see this and like, oh, they're alpha, dude. That is so far away from alpha. So they've taken something what alpha really is, and I want you to explain what alpha really is in the connotation of for like an alpha male. I mean, you can have alpha females too, but
Yeah.
alpha male, um, and what it really is and what media and whatever. Again, I'm going to use social media, just regular media, TV, movies, and all this stuff. What they really portrayed it as, and so that's why it's like have this. Oh my God, those alpha males are assholes. Yeah, okay.
Hmm.
First swear word, last word, swear word. Sorry, but that's not really alpha. That is like the opposite of alpha. There's some alpha maybe images of that, but the
Hmm.
demeanor of the way that they treat women, the way that they treat people in their life, relationships, business, and stuff like that you see in movie and social media, that is not alpha. That
Hmm.
is, I would say, borderline satanic. And so, tell me,
Or
especially
narcissistic.
or narcissistic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect
No,
word.
not
Great,
satanic.
great, great
Narcissistic.
word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a
Thank
whole
you.
nother podcast, that word too. So by the
Right.
way.
I
Yeah.
have one of those in my family, so I know a lot about that. Anyway, I want to actually do this. We have a really good mentor in Andy Frisella.
Yep.
And obviously, along with, you get some golden nuggets from him, I get some golden nuggets, but we make it our own and take it. So when you're coaching your guys, and I know
Hmm.
that you coach women as well, but when you're
Yeah.
coaching your guys and you're basically giving them ways to be the proper alpha, what are you putting into them? What are some things that you're unpeeling their onion and revealing into them that they may not know? And they're like, that's alpha. This is what an alpha male is supposed to be. How do you
Hmm.
do that? What do you show them? What do you tell them? What type of words are you giving them to maybe kind of turn on that light? Like, oh my gosh, I am alpha. And I never thought I was that guy, but I'm actually more that guy than the other person is.
Yeah. One of the main things is who's it going to be if it's not you?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody always asks is when is it not my responsibility? If you're going to be a true alpha male or a true leader in any way, shape, or form. So I look at alpha males and alpha females as leaders, right? It's more of that's the way you should be portrayed as a leader. And we know a lot of things that leaders should be doing and could be doing and and are failing at miserably typically. Um, who's it going to be if it's not you? If you're not leading from the front, have you ever seen any of those old war movies, Colonel, General Patton or any of those,
Mm-hmm.
when he gets on the horse and he's the first one out, right? And leading the charge. And, he's the most valuable player typically, on a chessboard, the king is at the back, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
that's good. Yeah.
so but I believe that a leader leads from the front. So it's the first one to get out there to step up to the plate, swing for the fence. Any of these connotations or analogies that you want to talk about. But who's it going to be if it's not you? No different than we've talked about in other podcasts about my son holding grown men accountable to putting their cart back. My son in that situation was more alpha than the full grown man that he was talking to. He was leading. He was showing up. He was doing what was right for society, for himself, for his community. that's the one thing that is a differentiator in when you're leading properly and or being alpha, if you will. I know that alpha is our subject, but again, um, to go back to the thing that I sent you from Andy, I mean, this sums it right up. He says anybody that calls themselves alpha is not alpha. Being alpha
Right.
is not about being a dick. It's not about being mean. It's not being angry or having an aggressive disposition. Um, Being alpha is about standing up for what's right, setting a high standard for yourself. Like we talk about it several times on here, our minimum standard is excellence. That's alpha. And again, it doesn't matter if you're alpha male, alpha female, doesn't matter.
Right.
We could go a whole nother podcast about the whole male female dichotomy, if you will. More to come from Andy here. Being alpha is about telling the truth, protecting the people around you, providing for people around you, holding the people around you to a high standard, being kind, being caring, embracing your authentic self. Stop lying to yourself and thinking that you're the leader when you don't have any of those qualities. Those are the qualities you should see in yourself and see in the people that you're bringing and pulling up the mountain. We talked about that about 4 podcasts ago. Pull the next one up, right? That's an alpha move, is to pull the next one up, is to realize that your time at the top is only your time at the top. And when it's time for the next person to be at the top, it's your job to pull them up and then to shore them up and coach them and lead them properly.
You said something back there about a couple of sentences ago about, setting the standard and holding people accountable. And in this world right now, that could be taken as a negative comment or way of living. Like, these guys just think that they're here. Well, aren't we supposed to be here? Is that not what we want to be? Don't we not want to win championships? So yeah, if you have someone that's going to say, hey, this is my standard, and then you're going to call them an elitist or entitled and stuff like that, have you really peeled back the onion and see what they're saying, or asking them questions instead of just painting something else? What a real alpha person, what Brent is saying is like, a real alpha person is like, I'm setting the standard. This is how I got here. I want to bring you here with me. I don't want to stay on top of you every day. I'm like, hey, come up here with me and hang out. And then when we get here together, then let's go find another one and bring another one up. So we've stated this multiple times today. People think that there's glass ceiling and there's only going to be a couple leaders in this world and that's it. There is a ton of room for thousands and millions and thousands and millions of different types of leaders. But we've been bred or led to believe that there's just a couple of them and you have to have one. Yeah, but any good leader, any good business person, we talked about this a couple episodes, as you said a couple months ago, like, hey, I'm going to help you get here, but maybe you get a little bit more than here. Maybe you take what I get you and like find a different way to do it. And you go here, and now I'm here. So now you need to pull me back up, and then we need to pull some other people. That's alpha, holding the door for your wife or just somebody in general walking into a store, right? Alpha. Lincoln taking the cart back up to the stuff, back up to the front of the store, setting a standard at 8 years old is alpha. Sending a thank you card at a business, for a business transaction, that's alpha. Why am I saying this? It's because it's setting a standard that not only are we getting better, but we're also recognizing of how we got there, what other people should do to be this way. It's not an individual. There's no individualism in alpha, and it's not taking advantage of people in being alpha. So whatever you've watched in movies, whatever you excuse me, whatever you've seen on social media for our younger guys or even our older guys who just maybe are stuck and thinking they can't be there, more than likely if you're doing the things, just a couple things that we've talked about right now, you're probably more alpha than what has been fed to us over many, even as kids, right? You know, the
Mm-hmm.
cowboys and Indians, right? The big burly cowboy coming in and taking out the Indians, and gosh, that guy is just, you know, so tough. Or like, what was that? Yellowstone. Was that?
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever saw that show. My wife's in love with the show. I haven't.
So
Beyond me, man.
when I think true alpha, I think somebody like John Wayne, somebody like Ronald Reagan, right?
Right.
That that imposing personality
Mm-hmm.
that's not uncomfortably imposing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, have you ever interacted with somebody at a restaurant or in a mild business transaction or anything like that, and they call you boss? Does that ever
Yeah.
happen to you?
Yeah.
Right? And so let's dig into that. Do you understand why they do that?
I don't. I know it drives me crazy. So explain to me why they do that.
So, in certain societal applications, it means that they're recognizing that you are one or two tiers above. In certain
Okay.
cultures and certain, again, societal blocks, if you will. So when you're, and this is going to sound really, really bad, but when you've engaged in bad things in life and you end up in jail or end up in corrections or end up in a situation to where you have to interact with somebody that is um, been placed to guard you, to hold you accountable, things like that. That is an addressing them. No different than in the military when it's the sergeant, right? So the sergeant is the boss. And because the sergeant, you've seen it on movies. I work for a living. Don't call me sir, right? So if they call you sir, then they're assuming that you are an officer, right? Or if you are a sergeant, that you are like them, you're just at the higher tier of them. Boss has that same scenario. So when, for instance, on the way down to LA, where we're at right now, on the airplane, the stewardess, I ask her for a glass of water. She says, I'll, one moment, boss, I'll get that to you. She didn't say that to any of the other people in where we were sitting.
That's wow. Okay.
Same thing happened at the grocery store. Same thing happened at the hotel. It's the way you carry yourself. It's the way you present yourself, right? It's the way that you address people with kindness and respect, like we talked about earlier. Being imposing without having, I don't, I don't know what the word is. So it's having an imposing um, aura about you, if you will, or an attitude about you without being a dick. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so this is the question that came up in my mind, and hopefully you can answer this, is that I get it. It's the way that you carry yourself. It could be a transaction. It could be service industry person or whatever they call you that. In essence, it's a term of endearment and respect, and I
Correct.
understand that. But do you take that? I guess my thought is, how do you yeah, I appreciate you saying that, but my name's Brent or my name's Blair, and we're in this together. So
Here's
some
the situation. It's a
yeah,
matter of respect, and
right.
they are viewing you as a non-transactional person.
Okay.
True leaders are not transactional. They're relational. So
Correct.
when I engage with somebody and then they end up calling me that, it's because during a transaction, I've given them the space to do their job. I've appreciated them. I've engaged with them. I've looked them in the eyes. I've shook their hand. I've given them, again, the space to do their job and to be a human being. And I've recognized them for their service, all in the matter of seconds. And that is how you're supposed to carry yourself as an alpha, right?
Right.
Although they feel that you might be under, or they might be under you in a hierarchy, they're recognizing that you have brought yourself down to them and
Okay.
respected them.
That makes
And
sense.
they are showing a minimum amount of respect to you, not knowing where you fit in societal hierarchy. It's not about being
Yeah.
rich. It's not about being, you know,
Mhm.
having a title. It's not about any of those things. It literally is about how you carry yourself and how you interact. It's changing the tone from a transactional scenario into a relational scenario, and they're showing you respect in that.
That's good. That makes sense.
So true alphas are relational, not transactional.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying I do it right every time or I do it perfect every time. I'm just saying that
Right.
that's my goal. That's what I try to do.
But you have that mindset. And I think that's right. At least you're aware of the surroundings. You're aware how you're talking. Yes, you may fail, you may stumble and do some stuff, or maybe in a moment. But you're aware of what it is.
Mhm.
I think that was such a great example. Is a true alpha is relational, and a false alpha is
It's transaction.
transactional. And,
Yep.
and we're like, you you are supposed to give this to me. Um, this is the way that you're supposed to treat me. And you know who I am. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the way you differentiate that. So again, hopefully this, we have obviously a little bit more, but stopping right here for like 2 seconds is when you see those type of guys or you see those type of females that we just talked about, or there has some common threads between male and females on there. Um, that's the true meaning of alpha. And maybe that will make it easier for those of you that are watching this, or those of you that shared the show from a friend, family member, whatever. Um, maybe that will make it easier. Like maybe I am alpha.
Mhm.
And but don't I think we're
Maybe
kind
this
of getting
isn't
caught up.
bad.
Yeah, maybe it's not bad, right? And I know that we're hammering the word alpha. There's a point behind there that we're hammering this, is that it's got a bad it's just got a bad image of what alpha
Mhm.
is, and it's really not that stuff. And you would, I guess, probably, and I don't know. Maybe you could tell us if I'm right or wrong. People may think of us as alphas because the way that we do things, the way we're doing the show, or we walk into a room, and we're shaking hands and kissing babies with people, and getting people involved, and building relationships. And I think, like, I wish it could be. People think that I'm an extrovert,
Mhm.
and
Bring your mic. Bring your mic a little closer, buddy. You're cutting out.
okay,
There we go.
people think that, yeah. So people think, obviously, I just said people think that I'm an introvert, or excuse me, extrovert, and I'm truly an introvert.
Yeah.
But God has given me things of bringing people together, just like Brent. You can see Brent has a lot of connections. He knows a lot of people in a lot of different circles from um, all walks of life. Same thing
Yeah.
with me, but we can tie these people together. So it takes a lot of mental awareness, a lot of mental preparedness to walk into a room and get people together. Like when I go home at 4 o'clock, I'm spent, not physically,
Mhm.
mentally, because I'm talking, I'm building relationships, I'm bringing people together, I'm adjusting to different cultures. I'm adjusting to different walks of life. And having this, again, what you just said is being relational, showing respect. Sometimes I'm in the same level. Sometimes there's guys way higher. I think I haven't told you this yet, actually. So I told you a couple weeks ago that there is a couple guys that I'm going to reach out to. Yeah, and it was Friday. So we do our podcast. No, never mind. So long story short is one of the guys that I really want, that I emulate with, and I'm achieving to get to, I ran into him at a hockey game. And long story short, so Chrissy and I are walking out of this hockey game, and there's this may be a little drawn out. I'll try to make it quick. We're walking out of the hockey game, and the guy that one of the people that I was talking to a couple of weeks ago, that I'm going to sit down and have a meeting with him. How did you get to this level? I want to get to that level. Give me a couple of goals. We're walking, and I'm just making sure Chrissy's getting out okay. And he reaches out his arm. He reaches out his hand and grabs my arm. I go, dude, oh my God, how are you? It's like, it's so, and this guy's like, it's so good to see you, blah, blah, blah. Share a hug, share a handshake. It's like, brother, I've been meaning to get a hold of you. I want to come. I need to pick your brain for a little bit. We're having a really good year, but I need to, there's some things that you're doing that I need to, I want to help get to the next level. Absolutely. No big deal to me at the end of the day, because we've had many conversations and some things. So that conversation gets done, and Chrissy goes, you know him? I'm like, yeah. She goes, how do you know him? He's a big deal out here. And I just talked to him, and we've seen each other in different places and open houses and stuff like that, and shared some common interests on Instagram. She goes, he's a big deal. So it kind of goes down. It's like, I'm really impressed that you know him. And she's like, you're gonna sit with him, right? You're gonna sit with him, right? I'm like, yeah. I mean, whatever. I was telling this to one of my agents, and I'm thinking like, yeah, he's a big deal, and he's done very well in business, but he's not really. Basically, what he said to me, he's not better than I am. He's just had a couple different things, and that's what I told Chris. He's like, he's humble, and I said, yeah, he's probably sold a couple more $1 million of houses than I have, but at the end of the day, I kind of the same. She said, yeah, but it's so and so. I'm like, yeah, and I'm Blair Armstrong. And I'm not trying to take anything away from this guy, but it's, that's what I said, is this image that it's like so unattainable to go talk to somebody that maybe sold 5 or 10 million more and sold real estate than I did. It doesn't make him any different. And I hope that story made sense. But
well, it does, because we talked about it before, and we need to talk about it again, about your heroes, right? So typically your heroes are no different than you. They just achieved a level of success. But are your heroes pulling people up the mountain? Are your heroes being a true alpha? Are your heroes really making a damn difference in this world? And you have to ask yourself that, because that's the definition of a true hero: somebody who is doing it all, not just this one little piece. Right? People
I think that.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, bud. Yeah, but people do put other people on pedestals, right? And I think the big thing for Chrissy was this, and this is just, I'm sharing this story because I know this happens to other people, and to understand that she wasn't devaluing me in any means. Is that when you have the exposure that this person's come from and what they've done and do sometimes with different things, is I think the biggest thing for her was he reached out and grabbed me. Yeah. Really, at the end of the day, if you kind of look at us on paper, there's no reason for this guy to stop me at all. There's not. But the point what you just said is the true leaders are like, I see something in that guy. He's been nice to me. He's acknowledged me. in the right way, not like, oh my God, you're a God, but stopped and said hi.
Yeah.
We're competitors in essence. We're competitors. And, you know, if it came down to like, we're both fighting for the listing and we'd be competing, but at the end of the day, we respect each other. So I think that was the biggest thing is like Chrissy looked at him as a way as like, wow, he's super successful and someday you'll get this level. But that's just not typical in today's world that someone that has been more successful reaches out and pulls you aside and wants to say hi to you.
Yep.
It would be like
But
Ed Milet coming up to you and pulling you aside.
Yeah.
Hey man, I see what you're doing. Doing a good job, man. Yeah, let's get together, right? So
Yep.
that's what I was trying to say.
The coolest part about Ed Milet is he will actually tell you, like, I'm no different than you guys. I just figured out a few things that you could have figured out too. You just chose not to.
Right.
And he talks about it all the time about truly appreciating and glorifying everybody that you interact with. It's a huge game changer. It goes back to what Ken said, you know, you were saying why is, you know, Ken's like, why are you guys keep blowing me up? Why you keep talking about me on the podcast? What did I do? What did I do that was cool, right? It is the it's like when you buy a red car, you start seeing red cars, right? That's the game. This guy sees something in you that he thinks is worthy of pulling you up the mountain.
Yeah, man, it's cool, dude. I mean, I think you just, again, going back to what you said about Ed Milet is so true. And I think that is, again, if you guys, if it's us, if it's somebody else that you want to emulate, maybe it's someone in your business or someone you see a relationship to have that, having those guys, you're going to find out if they're truly who they say they are by how they want to help you. If they come off very pompous and acting like you're dumb, then yeah, they don't want to help you, and you need to go find another person that you can emulate. Because I'm going into this, people that we follow: Ed Milet's, Andy Frisella's, and Greg Rochelle's. You know, the list goes on. But now we can also go back into, we talked about some big names, David Goggins, those type of guys. Those guys will come out. They want you have to participate now. You can't just come in there and expect them to do everything. You have to participate. But we also have had those people on our show, the Ednas, the Caitlins. We just talked about McCumber. If you watch Ken in any situation, the guy's a beam of light. You know, it's like I see him like, God, I wish I had his personality. He's always smiling, even when he's pissed, and he's bringing people together. I said I do the same thing, but he does it in a different way. I'm like, God, I wish I could do that. So there's different things I get from him. The Joe Daniels that we had it on here, Gary Scott, how he's bringing people with different. So the list goes on. But can you see where I'm going with this, guys? You are watching this. Is that there's a common thread about the people that we bring on here is because those guys are true leaders. They may not they may not really kind of put that in their mindset. Yeah, you know, I do this and that. And I'm not a leader. They'd probably be really humble about it. But those guys are, everyone that I just mentioned are changing people's lives one way or another. They're changing people's lives. And that is taking their success, their failures, and bringing people together and sharing stories with them, good and bad. And that is a true alpha or a true female, as in Caitlin and Edna. The things that they're doing for society, the ripple effect is unmeasurable right now. I mean, just think of what they've just done for you in April, brother. Oh, I mean, insane, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that we've kind of beat this up a little bit, and I think that we're good. But I just, we like to share examples because there's so many different ones on here, and again, going back to is what you've seen. There's some good parts of the old school movies of the John Waynes. He would always take care of the women and take care of the meek. That is a true alpha. So the ones that are glorifying their cars or acting like they're too good for people or making sure that they have the right camera angle, maybe, but you're going to have to peel back that onion and really see what they're doing behind the scenes. You have a situation that you wanted to peel back the onion about somebody before you made a decision if they were going to be a part of your life. And you're going to find out, okay, you may look cool, but I need to see behind the scenes of how cool you are.
Yeah.
And if you are a true alpha or a fake alpha, right? So any final words for you, brother? I'm sure that we've captivated people long enough, and I know you got to get back to do your stuff.
Yeah, we've got an appointment here in about 40 minutes for April to get her taken care of this morning. So we're going to do that. But I'm just grateful to have this platform, to have you to bounce ideas off of, to share wins, share losses, share situations that we can help each other grow and help others grow. So I'm grateful for you, and I appreciate the opportunity for anybody who's listening to us to reach out and let's chat. I'd love to have some feedback and love to be able to interact with you.
Yeah. It's been a good ride on 72 episodes so far, man. I love it. It's fun, and I'm glad that we've stuck with it. I'm glad that we've even with technical difficulties, we come back and get it done instead of just spacing it off.
Yep.
But you guys, okay, for women and men that are watching this show and we're watching this episode, if you have some questions of, or some maybe negative connotations of what the alpha is, send those questions to us so we can read them on the air. You don't have to mention your name. Just like, I do this, this, and this. Is that considered alpha? Or I saw this, this, and this, and it doesn't seem alpha, but you think it's alpha? We need to go ahead and erase kind of some bad stereotypes of what alpha is, and then put alpha, again, I'm kind of repeating myself, but what alpha really is. So anyways, with that being said, guys, go ahead and send us your questions, even if it's over a past episode, as we said before. We have 71 other episodes besides this one today. You see a past episode and you have a question or something that just didn't quite make sense, send us a text, super simple, either through YouTube or through Linktree, Brent Wright, or you just follow me. So, anything Team Armstrong, and you can text me too.
Spotify as well.
Spotify.
Yep.
Brent's sooner or later going to get me on Apple iTunes, and we'll get that or something like that. Anyway, I've given April her 45 minutes plus.
She won't be able to work out for quite a while, but she'll be.
But she can sit. She can sit in bed and watch it.
That's right.
Anyway, guys, have a great week. Go out and make a difference. Become the leader that you were born to be. Stay safe, but most of all, God bless. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.